Well, I was 8 years old, and like I said, my parents were always really encouraging of our expression of music and art and everything. And I went to a very free school where we learned how to play music really early on. And I came home from school one day, and we had just learned to play the recorder. It's like a little plastic flute that kids play. And my father at the time didn't have a separate studio from the house. It was just a room across the hall from my bedroom. And we had all these wood floors in the house, and they were real hollow sounding. So back to that kind of hollow, sound. And the piano would resonate through the floorboards. And my father was up all night, working on stuff. And he was kind of stuck on this one progression. Da dum dum da dum ba dum da dum ba dum but all night, so I went to school, learned how to play this little instrument, and I had this thing in my head, da dum da dum da da, and a melody came over the top. Da 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 da, and I went in and I started playing it along with him one day. And I guess it's technically the first jam session that I ever was involved with at age 8. And I remember him looking over and being like, all right. And he pushed record on the tape recorder, And I don't know, cut to like 2 weeks later, the whole family is like packed up. We're all going to Rome to record the big score of Conan and scoring sessions all day, every day. Everybody speaks Italian. It was an incredible trip for me as a child anyway. And one day, my dad looks back into the booth. Anyway, he looks back into the booth and he gestures for me to come out into the room. He's like, come here, I have a surprise for you. And so, what's that? So I go in and he has me stand up on the podium with him, and he gives me the headphones, and then he starts conducting, and it's that refrain. Da-dun, da-dun, da-dun. But it's a 100-piece orchestra, all the woodwinds and all the strings are playing, and then huge percussion is in the background, and it's just this amazing thing. And then all of a sudden that melody comes over the top of it, played on French horns, I think, and bassoon, all these wind instruments. And I recognized it, and it was just this amazing moment where, oh my gosh, you really used that melody, and it's part of this now. And it was amazing. It was amazing. I'll never forget the feeling. So actually, there was one before Conan, when I was a little younger, when he was working on the Blue Lagoon, and he had one of those really old-fashioned spring reverb units that you would sing into, and it kind of made your voice sound funny, or whatever instrument you played in front of it. And I used to go, I think it was under the piano, and I would go under there and I would like sing along to stuff. And while he was writing the Blue Lagoon, there was a sequence that I was singing along to, and he wrote it down. And I remember he always felt bad because he didn't give me credit for it. And I remember this from a little kid, and he didn't give me credit for that. So I think when the Conan thing came up, he was really excited to just push it as far as he could go. I got signed up as a member of BMI. I was on the cue sheet. I think on the actual album, if you turn it over, like it says my name real big, and people were like, "Who's that?" I was the 8-year-old daughter. So, and I think it's for a cue called The Orgy, which was always kind of funny. I didn't know when I was 8 what that was or anything, but I guess for his 8-year-old daughter to collaborate with him on a cue called The Orgy was definitely a little alternative. My father, through his career, was always very generous. He was a very generous man. I think anybody would say that about him. But with his children, especially with me, he was very generous with, I always got to be involved. I think we all, my whole family, we all felt involved. It was like a family effort. It was a group effort, especially, my mother, they were like partners. He couldn't do anything without her. She was always in the wings, and after every cue would finish on the scoring stage, she would look over. There would be the director and the engineer and then my mom. So it was like this the Holy Trinity he would look back at, after every cue to make sure everything was okay. My father was not always the most accepting person of his own talents and what it was bringing to him. He was almost too humble for his own good. Which it's a blessing and a curse, because I think he was humble enough to kind of let the stuff be really genuine. He never forced anything. It was never phony. He was a very genuine man, and his art reflected that genuine quality in him. And I think that he didn't understand why people liked the music so much. He never did. He really didn't. And I think only at the very, very end of his life, when he went to Ubeda, Spain, and realized, the adoration of what it really was, and he finally accepted it. And I think that's why it was such a wonderful moment for him and for everybody who shared it, because he was allowing it to happen. I wanted to say to everyone in Ubeda, Spain, hola, I guess, right? Is that Spanish?
Yeah.
Hola, and thank you so much for honoring my father as I feel like I love him and honor him. I feel like you love him and honor him too. So thank you. I'll miss him.
Yeah.
Basil and I shared over 35 years together, a lifetime of wonderful memories. The births of our 2 daughters, watching him conduct full orchestras all over the world, weeks spent sailing on our boat off the coast of California. But I guess if there was one memory I'd like to share with you today, it would be the sound of Basil playing his piano. Often I would wake up in the middle of the night, well after midnight, and I'd hear the sound of a new melody, a melody that would one day become the theme to Conan the Barbarian or Free Willy or Lonesome Dove. Nothing will ever touch me as deeply as the sound of Basil playing his piano in the middle of the night.
It's definitely one of the memories that is the most powerful, I think, because from the time I was born, there was music. The day they brought me home from the hospital, he got Big Wednesday, and to this day, I hear Big Wednesday and I hear the story of my life. I remember hearing his music and feeling like it was my own soundtrack. It was a soundtrack for our family. And I'm so thankful to have this music to share with the world, but also because it's like an emotional scrapbook for me. I can put in a CD or watch Red Dawn or something, and all these memories come back, things that I haven't thought of for years, and thoughts of my father at the piano and being a kid, and in the music I hear our story. And I feel like it's also a way to look at the past, but also continue a relationship with him now that he's gone. And I'm very happy to have that.